Okay, welcome to the day 5 video. Today we're going to be practicing our sequences. So we've learned two sequences. They are arithmetic and geometric. Remember that arithmetic sequences are used whenever there's a common difference, and geometric sequences are used whenever there's a common ratio. So when we look at the example 1, a sub 1 is 4, d is 7, find the next three terms. Well, when they write this, d is 7, that means that there is a common difference of 7. So that makes it an arithmetic sequence, and that's just because of that information. So I can write down here that it's arithmetic because there is a common difference of 7. And then what is needed to write a recursive formula? So recursive, remember, is what we talked about yesterday. So for a recursive formula, we need a first term or a starting value and a way to get to the next term using the previous term. So for example 2, we want to write a recursive formula for the following sequences. So the first thing we need to do is figure out the pattern. Well, how am I getting from 12 to 19 to 26 to 33? Well, the pattern here is adding 7 every time. So that means that it is a common difference. So when we write our recursive formula, we're going to start with just the a sub 1 because I need a first term. So a sub 1 is 12. And then we need to start with a sub n to say to get to our next term. And then again, because it's recursive, we need to say start with the previous term, which was a sub n minus 1. And then what do we need to do to get to the next term? We need to add 7. So then we just say plus 7. So that's a recursive formula that represents that sequence. Now if I look at the next one, now we need to figure out the pattern again. So when I look, the pattern to get from 3,087 to 441 to 63 is to divide by 7 or multiply by 1/7. So that means we are going to multiply by 1/7 each time. So start with the first term. So a sub 1 equals the first term, 3,087. And then again, we have a sub n to say to get to the next term. And then we start with the previous term, a sub n minus 1. And then we would put in our times 1/7 here because we're going to multiply by 1/7 each time. So there again is a recursive. So start with a sub n minus 1 the previous term and multiply by 1/7 each time. Example number 3, which formula below represents this sequence? So now I need to again figure out the pattern. So how am I going from 432 to 72 to 12 to 2? Well, I know that I'm going down, and so I can first figure out, okay, am I subtracting a number each time? But to get from 72 to 12, that's not going to work. So I'm going to look instead at multiplying. So when I look at my multiple choice answers, I can see here that my answers show multiplying by 1/6 or multiplying by 6. And those are the only number values used for that. I know that 432 is my first initial value, so these all show initial values of 432. This one shows a geometric sequence. This one shows geometric, but these two show arithmetic. Well, I just talked about how I know it's not an arithmetic sequence because I'm not adding 1/6 or multiplying by 6 each time, or I'm sorry, adding 6 each time. So it's neither of these. So it's either 1/6 or 6, and since it's getting smaller, that's what tells me that it's the choice number 1. There's not a lot of work there, so I'm going to add an explanation because remember, multiple choice need an explanation or work. So I wrote my explanation as I eliminated 3 and 4 because they were arithmetic sequences. Then looked at the pattern and saw the numbers were decreasing, so the r had to be a fraction. So the r value had to be a fraction. Okay, we'll do one more together. This next one says, what is the third term of the sequence defined as a sub n equals 1/2 of a sub n minus 1 minus n if a sub 1 is negative 6. So that means that I need to start with a sub 1 is negative 6. To find the second term, I need to use this one and this idea here. This one is telling me a sub n minus 1. That's the previous term. So that's where we put the PT above, standing for previous term. So then to find a sub 2, and then I'm going to fill in the previous term with my previous term, which here was negative 6. So I have half of negative 6 and then minus 2. So that would be negative 5. Now I'm going to do the same thing to find the third term. So when we look here, I still took the 1/2 from here, and I put that first. the previous term was a -5, but the n became -3 because 3 was here. So then when we put that in our calculator, we get -11/2, and that's our answer. So number 1 is our answer. Okay, we'll do this more tomorrow. Have a good night.